The U.S. Supreme Court has temporarily blocked a lower court ruling in Texas that found the state's redistricting plan was drawn along racial lines. The ruling, signed by Justice Samuel Alito tonight, means the state's redrawn congressional maps passed by the Texas legislature will remain in place for now. The High Court's decision coming after Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton filed an emergency appeal. This is the latest move in an ongoing legal battle over the maps you see right here. State lawmakers redrew the district maps during a special session in August with the goal of flipping as many as 5 Democratic congressional seats to Republicans. I spoke with KHOU political analyst Brandon Rottinghouse by phone. He says now we just have to wait and see if the Supreme Court will rule on which maps will be allowed in the midterm election.
Yeah, so as you heard there, a lower court tried to stop Texas from redistricting, and Supreme Court said, absolutely not. You understand me? What they drew up, they can use, all right? At least for now, you know? So beautiful, absolutely beautiful, exactly the kind of win that we most definitely need. And we've got some more wins as well. That's what we're going to be talking about a little bit more today. Because even a state like California that is heavily blue, as you guys have probably heard, has redistricted, all right, to eliminate, I believe it was 5 Republican seats. Well, they're facing some challenges on that as well. They might have gotten voters to vote yes, but also there were some issues with the ballots and the way that was all done, you know, the holes in the ballots. And I showed you guys the video, literally on the envelope for the Prop 50 vote in California. If somebody voted no, you could see their no vote without even opening the envelope, which obviously, you know, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. Why do you need the ability to see through the envelope? Why are there holes in the envelope? Especially right there where the no vote is. Kind of suspicious, ain't it? Well, it's suspicious to some other folks as well. Check it out.
God forbid Prop 50 gets approved. You have a legal mind, you have a degree, I do not. Will this even hold up? I would imagine the GOP, I hope of California, maybe the federal guys, I hope Republicans are on top of this, ready to sue and stop this from being implemented if, God forbid, 50 gets approved tomorrow.
Absolutely. I actually wrote a brief to support a lawsuit on Prop 50. So we have a array of topics that are unconstitutional, not to mention it's in violation of 3 sections of our state constitution, which Carl DeMaio filed a lawsuit, Assemblyman Carl DeMaio, on those 3 statutes that are the 3 constitutional provisions. However, we have deceptive messaging by former President Barack Obama. I know we're all so surprised that he's going to be deceiving us, but he said that the Prop 50 preserves the Independent Redistricting Commission in California, ... for the long run. And what it really does is it upends it. And we have these issues with holes in the ballot envelopes. And we also had incorrect congressional maps that were delivered to millions of California residents and then revoked. This is the, as you said, single most expensive ballot measure. We're almost at like $260 million on the taxpayers' back, money we do not have. So there is an array of legal arguments that we can make. And Gavin Newsom, and just for the record, Gavin Newsom, this is a retaliatory measure. Texas redistricted because the Biden DOJ sued Texas in 2021 based on their 2020 census, and they were well within their constitutional authority, and it was necessary to redistrict. So Gavin Newsom has spoken on this retaliatory measure, and we know now it's a partisan power grab. So I hope, Dan, that we're going to see it win in the courts.
Yeah, so you just heard there, definitely going to face some challenges when it comes to that. Whether or not they succeed, we shall see. But in the long run, I don't know if it'll actually matter if they succeed anyway, but we're going to get to that here in just a second. Another win that we may have coming our way is this issue right here that Wesley Hunt is going to describe. Check it out.
American people and the census manipulation that Democrats have been using to influence American elections for years. In 2018, Republican leadership, including the president himself, called for a citizenship question to be included in the 2020 census reports. To no one's surprise, when the Democrats took control, these requests went unanswered, and the question of citizenship was waived. But the fact remains that the concept of sanctuary cities and radical blue states ignoring immigration law and using the illegal population to manipulate the lines of congressional districts is, in fact, unconstitutional. Not only are there severe constitutional concerns from the inclusion of illegal immigrants, but the Census Bureau admitted to having made several, quote, errors in their 2020 census report. Convenient, seeing that as in 2020, Donald Trump was on top of the ticket. In 2020, the Bureau undercounted in primarily deep red states such as Arkansas, Florida, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Texas, all red, while overcounting in radical left blue states like Delaware, Hawaii, Massachusetts, Minnesota, New York, Ohio, and Rhode Island. This egregious error led to many states being denied proper representation in Congress and the Electoral College. So much so that these errors cost Republicans not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, but 6 seats in the House. In addition to the 2020 miscounting, including illegal immigrants in the census has improperly granted radical left blue states 12 additional seats in the United States House of Representatives. It's a total of 18 seats gained. That is a huge problem, and those are the facts.
So yeah, you heard that there. 18 seats gained by Democrats via the 2020 census. 18. Now, Stephen Miller is making a push to ensure that illegals are not counted in another census. And also, Uncle Trump has called for a mid-decade census to correct the wrongs of the 2020 census. But even if that's not done, right? Considering all of that, right? Considering all of the Democrats had an 18-seat swing via the census. Come 2030, when the next census happens, it's going to get real ugly because they already have lost the House, right? Already, even with the census being on their side, they already lost the House. So just imagine what it's going to look like in 2030. Just saying. I'm just saying, right? Just saying, even with all the Democrats saying doom and gloom, Trump's going down, the MAGA infighting, oh my goodness. Yeah, okay, Democrats. Yeah, all right. Even with the census being on your side, you still lost the House. How sad is that? On top of the census not going to go their way, let me remind you. Okay, so we get rid of the 18 seats, right? That's 18 seats gone. But now Republican states are fighting back, obviously, with this whole redistricting. And I want you guys to take a listen to these numbers because it's really could get ugly. Check it out.
So this is what the party pickups would be for congressional districts. Republicans, 5. Missouri, 1. North Carolina, 1. Ohio, 2 or 3. Indiana, 1 or 2. Florida, still discussion down there, but that could be another gold mine for them if they tipped it even further their way. Kansas, 1. New Hampshire, 1. And Nebraska. Democrats, Utah, California, Maryland. Look at this. If you offset California and Texas, Missouri and Utah, North Carolina and Maryland, everything left over is an advantage to the Republicans. And don't forget,
before he gets to the next point, okay, so remember, we've already gotten rid of 18 seats, right? Now we're adding another 2, okay? There's 20, there's 21. The numbers that I've seen out of Florida is between 3 and 5. We're going to go with the lower number, 3, okay? Wait, where were we at? I completely lost my count. So we're at 18, plus 2, there's 20, plus 1, there's 21, plus another 3, that's 24, 25, 26, and 27. 27 seats via redistricting and a new recounted census that is actually counted properly and without illegals. Now take a listen to what else may come down the pipeline on top of that.
the Supreme Court is considering what could really be the end of the Voting Rights Act, which would protect minority groups. So you don't have a state that's half black, for example, that elects only one congressional member and everybody else goes to the Republicans. That would represent that population in some ways. So if that is gutted, Democrats could lose 19 seats. This would be a huge amount. But this is also a measure of how much the White House is concerned about this, because Donald Trump knows if the Democrats get the House again, there could be new investigations just like last time. There could be a new impeachment. There could be a lot of impediment to these plans that right now the Republicans in the House and Senate are letting run like a freight train.
Yeah, so if the Supreme Court gets rid of the Voting Rights Act, there's another 19 seats. So we're talking nearly 50 seats possible that Republicans could gain. Absolutely mind-boggling numbers. Now, there's more. You guys remember Doge and Elon Musk and Trump going in and shutting down the pipeline from what's the place called? Well, first off, there was investigations into Act Blue, but also USAID was investigated, and they started looking into some things. And what do you know? After Act Blue was investigated, USAID was basically shut down. You know what happened to the Democrats' fundraising and where it's at currently? Don't worry. I've got it. Check it out.
DNC taking out $15 million in loans back in October, according to a new filing with the Federal Election Commission. The party claims the line of credit was an investment in boosting candidates in New Jersey and Virginia from earlier this month, building up the party ahead of next year's midterm elections. The move drastically contrasts the RNC, which reported $91 million cash on hand at the end of October.
So you have a situation where Democrats are having to borrow $15 million while Republicans have $91 million sitting. What happened to all the money? You gotta love it. I'm telling y'all, man, this is beautiful. This is beautiful because if you guys remember, there was quite a lot of money spent on Kamala Harris's campaign. If you guys want a little refresher, check it out.
Right? Like the fact that every election cycle you see hundreds of millions. I mean, the last presidential election, Kamala Harris had $1.5 billion.
$2.5 billion.
$2.5 billion.
Didn't she run out?
Yes, and when I said she was in debt, yes, hold on. I told the country that she was in debt. They had a spokesperson from the DNC come out, release a press release essentially calling me a liar, saying that I was completely wrong. Just last month, they came out and admitted that they were now paying her debts of $20 million.
That's so crazy.
But where's my sorry, by the way? But putting that aside,
don't hold your breath.
Yeah, but Anna's totally right. The FEC is a toothless organization.
So, yeah, $2.5 billion in total, a record amount of money spent on Kamala Harris's campaign. Now, this happened in 3 months, mind you. $2.5 billion with a B, a big B. She spent all of that and went in debt $20 million. How crazy is that? How crazy is that? And you know what? You know what happened? We won. Yes, sir. We won. And so when I just wanted to say, when these Democrats in mainstream media, they're out here, oh my goodness, doom and gloom, Trump's gonna go down, the Republican Party is in trouble. Bullshit. Okay? Excuse my language, but BS. Okay? BS. They spent a record amount of money and still lost. Still lost. And now their party is in absolute shambles because they don't have anywhere near that amount of money. If you guys remember, there was all types of reports coming in. Oh my goodness, look how much money the Democrat Party has, how much cash on hand the Democrat Party has, leading up to the 2024 election. Look how much cash the Democrat Party has on hand. Oh my goodness, look how much money Kamala Harris just raised this month. $300 million here, another $200 million there. They had a call with a bunch of was it a bunch of Kamala or men for Kamala or something, and she raised another $50 million, but that was just money just all over the place, and now they're having to borrow $15 million. If they lost spending $2.5 billion to try to convince us all that Kamala Harris was this great candidate. The wannabe black woman who cooks her greens in the bathtub, which is just absolutely fucking disgusting. She ain't black, okay? I don't know any black person that cooks their greens where they wash their butt. That's gross. It's disgusting, okay? Let's make that clear, all right? If they spent $2.5 billion to do that and lost, how are they ever going to even come close to winning when they have to borrow $15 million? So keep that in mind, guys, as you see all of this nonsense that Democrats are trying to push, the doom and gloom. Keep that in mind. All right, we're good. Could we be doing better? Yeah, absolutely. Do we still need to show up and vote? Yeah, absolutely. Was I hoping in these recent elections on November 4th that we could pull out a W like in New Jersey? Absolutely, I was hoping that we could. The reality of the situation was that the Democrat was always in the lead and always projected to win, but I was hoping that we could squeak by based on voter registration numbers, and hoping that we could rile up the base a little bit to show up. That's one thing that I don't like about the Republican Party, is that a lot of the times in off-year elections, we get comfortable. We get way too relaxed in off-year elections, and I hate that. We've got to do better. These Democrats show up in off-year elections all the time, and they're winning races that they have no business winning. All we have to do is show up. And we get W after W after W. Bro, if we would have won like 2 of those races, do you know how demoralizing that would have been to the Democrat Party? You know how crushing that would have been? Like, I don't want them to have any type of hope, right? Now, I think the Democrat Party internally, right, the politicians internally know that they're in serious trouble, but they're not projecting that to their base. And what they're projecting is a bunch of hope, and, they're getting a bunch of people hyped up, like, look at the elections we won, even though they were already projected to win. It was blue states, you know what I mean? So it's not too big of a surprise, but they're using that to hype up their base. We could have crushed all hope had we just showed up. So if there's one thing that I hope changes about the Republican Party, it's that. We got to show up for off-year elections. But as always, thanks for tuning in. Stay safe out there. Peace and love. I'm out.